Hey, we're giving out the Nintendo Wii tomorrow morning. Are you ready?
Absolutely. It's for my wife.
Are you a good holder?
I think so.
Mother of 3 young children, it's unlikely the media would ever have noticed Jennifer Strange until her bizarre death following a radio contest.
The youngest boy, Ryland, is asking his grandmother, when's Mommy coming home? And there's just no way to really answer that question in a fashion that's satisfactory to a 3-year-old.
We're going to start it at 6:20, and then every 10 minutes, you guys are going to drink, I think it's 8 ounces of water.
Yep.
As a contestant on 107.9 The End, Strange drank 2 gallons of water in just 3 hours, hoping to win a Nintendo game system. Strange was runner-up, but only hours after going home, the Sacramento County coroner says she died the apparent victim of water intoxication. Today, her family's attorney says they plan to file a wrongful death suit against 107.9 for comments like this.
What do you want to... Jennifer, I heard that you're not doing too well.
My head hurts.
Aww.
They keep telling me that it's the water, that it'll tell my head to hurt and then it'll make me puke, but...
Who told you that, the intern?
Yeah.
That's one of the notes over there?
Like, it hurts, but it makes you feel lightheaded, so I'm not sure if I'm just like...
This is what it feels like when you're drowning. There's a lot of water inside of you.
Oh, it hurts.
Today, the Insider Exclusive presents radio's deadly stunts, the Jennifer Strange story. Going behind the headlines with Roger Dreyer, the family's lead attorney, to uncover the real facts of why this 28-year-old mother of 3 needlessly died in this tragic incident. The jury awarded Billy Strange and his family $16 million for the wrongful death of his wife, Jennifer. And after the verdict, Roger Dreyer stated that this kind of verdict sends an important message to media organizations across the nation. From day one, we have wanted to make certain that the media in the nation, particularly radio media, understand they can't have these kinds of contests without taking necessary steps to research them and educate the people participating. And what stronger message could we possibly want than that? Hi, I'm Steve Murphy, and this is the Insider Exclusive, live from Sacramento, California, at the law firm of Dreyer, Babich, Bucola, Wood. It's my great pleasure to introduce Roger Dreyer to the show. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Steve.
Tell us a little bit about you as a lawyer. Why are you a trial lawyer?
This is something I've done for 30 years. Grew up really wanting to do trial work. It's I think, a unique opportunity to make a difference. Seed planted by my dad, who was not a lawyer, saying that, if you want to affect change, you want to make a difference in a community, trial lawyers are the ones that really are on the forefront of doing that.
Today we're going to discuss the Jennifer Strange case, and it was a major case. Tell us a little bit about what happened and who was Jennifer Strange.
Jennifer Strange was a wonderful, by all accounts, 28-year-old mother of 3, and a very special person, very giving person. Everybody that we came in contact with all felt like Jennifer was their best friend. She had that ability to communicate and relate to people. And this event, what happened is Jennifer participated in a contest that was advertised by Intercom.
It's a radio contest.
Huge radio corporation, 110 stations across the country, very successful, financially very wealthy company, which, their whole thing is ratings, and what they do is to drive ratings. And it's not just music, it's also to entertain, in their perspective, the audience.
Right.
So this case, she was a loyal listener, trusted Intercom, and they had a contest called Hold Your Wee for Wee, which they presented as simply drinking water, and the last person to hold their urine would be able to win the Wii, which at that point in time was very difficult to get. Right. It's kind of a tasteless contest. In reality now, certainly in retrospect, And when I took the depositions of the management personnel, they found the contest offensive, and just in terms of it was a tasteless contest. But what made it particularly problematic is it was extraordinarily dangerous, and it basically was forcing people to drink themselves to death by consumption of water.
Now, she drank, what, 2 gallons of water over a 3-hour period?
She drank over 3 hours, right around 2 gallons, and there was other contestants that drank the same amount. The contest was set up initially where they presented to people that they were going to drink 8-ounce bottles every 15 minutes, but because of how the water was affecting people and because of how they wanted to compress the time, they doubled the water from 8 ounces to 16 ounces, and they shortened the time from 15 to 10 minutes. So the cellular structure, by drinking all that water, causes your cells to swell, and in the brain it swells in a skull, and it causes devastating brain injuries and ultimately can cause death.
What happens? You actually go unconscious, become unconscious?
What happens is you get it affects your cognition, it affects your judgment. That's why they call it water intoxication. There's a very notorious case in this community up in Chico, north of here, where a young man was subjected in a fraternity circumstance, a rush circumstance, where they forced him to drink water, and he died of water intoxication.
Really? Was that before or after?
That was before this, and the people at the radio station knew about this, and they actually, when they were talking among themselves and talking to the public, not to the contestants, they remembered, they talked about this case with a gentleman by the name of Matt Carrington, and they actually said, gee, can't someone die from this? Maybe we should have done more research. And the reason they did it was simply to set the hook in the listening public to get them interested in, wow, we're going to listen to something that's very edgy and dangerous.
Right.
But at the same point in time, they don't tell any of the contestants of this. And all the contestants feel and believe they're going to be drinking water and holding their urine. They don't understand that they're being compressed in time to literally drinking a lethal dose of water.
And it's dangerous.
Dangerous. And, Jennifer, had she gotten care, was already well past, based upon the autopsy, well past the point of no return. She would have had severe brain injury.
No kidding.
She would have been basically a vegetable.
Yeah, and once you have all that water in it, it's not like pumping it out or anything.
Well, that's the irony of this. They got phone calls from nurses that were telling them, you can die from this, what you're putting these people through. And one of them even suggested, and this came out at trial, that if you give them some salt, at least give them some salt, because if you have salt or sodium in the mix, such as Gatorade, or a substance that has that, it doesn't cause the cellular structure to swell. Because you're diluting your cells of its sodium, which causes them to swell.
Let's discuss your legal strategy on this case. Tell us what you were trying to prove here, what you were alleging.
Well, this case was a lot more, we felt, than just the death of Jennifer. And the family, from the beginning, wanted to make certain that a message went out to industry, the media industry, that they can't use people like this as guinea pigs and subject them to these kind of risks. So we wanted to establish not only that they were negligent and breached their duties to Jennifer and the other contestants, but also just the callous nature which they approached it and the failure to research it.
Right. Speaking of that callous nature, we have some of those audio clips where, let me get this right, they're actually stated saying they've signed releases, we're not responsible.
We're aware of that.
They sign releases, so we're not responsible. It's okay.
And if they get to the point where they have to throw up, then they're going to throw up and they're out of the contest before they die. So that's good, right?
Oh, that's me. I suppose so.
Yeah. All right. How come you guys didn't do it?
Thanks for looking out, though. We don't want to die.
Oh, okay. Let me ask Carter if anybody's dying.
We ain't dying.
Hey, Carter, is anybody dying in there?
We got a guy that's just about to die. Oh, good. Make sure he signs
that release. We laugh at that. Yeah.
Make sure he signs the release.
Get the insurance on that, please.
It showed the cavalier way in which they approached this and the complete lack of concern they had for the contestants. These people knew of the potential lethal effect of what they were putting these people to. They hadn't shared it with the contestants, but they knew. And when they got these calls in that were telling them, people can die, the reaction was to joke about it, again, to be edgy, that they feel would develop their ratings and have people listen.
Right. The DJs kept saying, because I watched a couple of interviews with them, that this was cleared by legal.
Right.
Tell us what was or wasn't cleared by legal, and was legal training these people to watch out for signs of danger?
Well, that is why we're really motivated to file this lawsuit and to prosecute it. The Intercom wanted to hush this up and get it done, but the family felt it was really important because they didn't want this sort of thing to happen to someone else. And that's really the beauty of the civil justice system.
What do you mean by Intercom wanted to hush this up?
They want to settle it. They wanted to
They
resolve
wanted to settle right from the get-go.
They wanted to get it resolved.
Yeah.
And the issue was, yes, taking care of the family and making certain that we do the best we can, understanding you can never get enough financial compensation for this kind of a loss.
Yes.
But the family, the important thing to this family was to send a message to the media industry and also to change their behavior, to make them accountable for their conduct. And that's really what motivated us to push this case through, not to resolve it, but to go to trial and have the public exposure of what this industry and this particular company was doing and how they had set rules to be followed, but they didn't train their people on what was unreasonably dangerous. They said, don't do a contest, it's unreasonably dangerous. But then they don't tell them what is unreasonably dangerous. The people that were proving this contest didn't even appreciate what hyponatremia was and that people can die from water intoxication. So they never really went to legal. So Intercom was very critical of their own local station for failing to do what they failed to train them how to do it. So the benefit of this kind of a case and the responsibility of lawyers like myself in cases like this is to make sure that the message is driven home. It's not going to be driven home based upon them saying, yes, you're right, we made a mistake, and we want to do this safer. Unfortunately, the corporate mentality in our country is you have to spank them. You have to make certain that they understand it, and the only way they understand it, the only way you affect change is financially.
By the way, the verdict was how much?
I think it was like $16.5 million.
$16 million, and they didn't appeal it or anything. They just paid it.
Yes.
You also sought one other penalty against this radio station. You wanted their license revoked, didn't you?
Initially, when I was retained on the case, we wrote the FCC, and we asked them to take their license for what they had done and the callous nature in which they had handled it. And again, this is a great example of why the civil justice system works when government fails us. The FCC never investigated this. They never opened up a file on it.
Even after you wrote them?
After I wrote them repeatedly, asked them to take action, they basically did nothing. The FCC never took any kind of administrative steps, and they have the authority and the ability. Now, if someone had said the F word or had said the S word on this, then they'd pull their license. But if you kill somebody because you failed to do the research and you failed to do your job, you can keep pumping out the commercial dollars.
We have with us today one of the contestants that was there that day, Victoria Hartsock.
Correct.
And we're going to bring her on right now.
All right.
It's my great pleasure to introduce Victoria Hartsock to the show. Welcome to the show, Victoria.
Thank you.
You were there that day, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
Take us back to that day. You came into the radio station, right?
Yes.
And what happened?
Well, I came in for what was supposed to be what I thought a fun morning, just to play a game, to win a game, and then go home. And well, what happened was far from that, because early before we had started drinking any water at all, felt like we were kind of lab rats in a room, very embarrassing, very intimidating, all kind of, piled together in a room, and had to kind of strip down our clothing and inspected so that we weren't wearing any diapers or anything like that.
Right.
And
no cheating, right?
Right, no cheating. When we started drinking the small bottles, everyone was still kind of, talking, and it was, kind of light in the room and everything. And when people weren't dropping out so quickly, they had started making fun of us, throwing water on the windows.
You're talking about the DJs.
Yes, the DJs. And trying to make us drop out quicker. They moved us onto bigger bottles to have us drink more.
Now, the rules, as you understood them, changed when you were there, didn't they?
Yes.
The rules initially were you drink 1 bottle of water, what, every 15 minutes?
About every 15 minutes.
And then they moved that up, didn't they?
Yes, and we had to finish drinking the bottle within 2 minutes, or we would be disqualified.
Really?
Yes.
They just pull you out of the room?
Yes.
Right.
So, and then we had to hold it for 10 minutes and then drink another one. The larger bottles.
How many people were in a room approximately competing?
There were 17 of us.
17. Mm-hmm. And you obviously saw Jennifer there that day?
Yes, I did.
Okay. What happened as you started drinking more water? Did you start feeling sick?
Yes, absolutely. I started feeling a little sick to my stomach, kind of a little shaky. I soon was not able to stand up. I kind of, I sat on the floor for a little bit, and as I drank more, I was feeling more sick to my stomach, very full, very bloated,
right.
To the point that, I did need to throw up.
You threw up right in that room? I
did, eventually, yeah.
Yeah. So did you feel like quitting, or you just had to win this?
Well, when I got to the point of being sick, I had no choice either way.
Yeah.
I threw up, and then I just wanted to get out of there.
How much did you drink that day?
Pretty close to 10 bottles, I believe.
10 bottles, or what, 20-ounce bottles or something like that?
There were 8 initially and then 16s.
Oh, 16.
And one of the things about this, when the brain is swelling, and they don't know that, it affects their cognition. When Vicky's talking about staying on the ground,
yeah,
it affects their balance.
Yeah.
It affects the brain.
And also your judgment.
Big time.
Your judgment. So a lot of people who might have quit drinking couldn't really get to that point, could they?
And also, we had a psychologist testify about the competitive nature when you put people
right.
in a competition environment, that even though they like each other and they get along with each other,
nobody wants to lose.
No one wants to lose.
Yeah, and you felt that too, right?
Right, right. I mean, we were there to compete with each other. But...
Now, you went home, right? You're sick, you went home. Yes. When did you hear about Jennifer's passing?
It was that night. And
what was your immediate feeling, thinking?
I was shocked. I broke down immediately, thinking, I was just with her, doing the same exact thing that she was doing.
And you never realized somebody could die like this, did you?
Never.
That was never explained to you, was it?
No, it was never explained to us. Otherwise, I would have never been there.
Well, I'm glad you were able to come on the program today because, this is a horrible incident. And unfortunately, a fine mother is no longer with us today because of the negligence of people who should have told them the right thing, right?
Yes.
I want to thank you very much for joining us today. It's my great pleasure to introduce 2 jurors who served on this trial. Bill Collins, Letitia Paget, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Everybody always wants to know, once you heard all the testimony and you went into the deliberation room, tell us how things progressed when you first got in there. Did you take an initial vote?
Yes, we did. Basically, when we first came into the jury room, the deliberation room, we took a vote just to see how people were feeling and what their thoughts were on the case at hand.
And how were they feeling?
All over the board, basically. Pretty much almost half and half. We had people basically who thought there was no negligence on the radio station, and there were people who thought there was a lot of negligence on the radio station, and it was pretty much divided down the middle.
As the deliberations went on, how long did you deliberate, by the way?
9 days.
9 days? 8 hours a day?
Mm-hmm. Well, pretty much. There were a couple of days that got shortened.
What were some of the big issues that finally you got resolved so you could resolve this whole case?
The biggest issue had to be, I think, the money, trying to figure out how much, because we were all over the board with the money.
How did you come up with $16.5 million?
We kind of went around the board, and we went around the room,
yeah,
and everybody just kind of came up in their mind with what they thought was a good
threw
value.
A number out there.
Just threw a number out there, so we just threw them all on a big piece of construction paper or what have you.
Oftentimes, a defendant is told that when the jury walks out and they look at you, it's a good sign. Were you aware of not looking at the defendant? which happened to be the radio station.
No.
No?
I've heard that.
Yeah. Did you look at the defense?
I didn't. No, I didn't.
You didn't?
I did not look at them at all.
Well, very good. Well, I really appreciate you taking your time, come over and talk to us, because a lot of people want to know, you know, it's a tragic situation, how you guys decided the way you did, and thank God you did. And thank you.
And thank you.
Roger, this kind of case really sends a message of accountability to the media, doesn't it?
It sends a message of accountability, but it also, it's a great learning exercise for the media and for the industry that deals with lay people like radio stations and TV stations and reality shows. I know, for example, as part of our process that Entercom really appreciated the failures and the breakdowns, and they unfortunately had to be demonstrated them live.
Right.
But I do believe sincerely, having taken the deposition and dealt with the CEO of the company, that he took to heart what happened, and they've instituted changes in how they train their staff and personnel. So, I mean, that's the greatest reward for us, and I think also for the family, knowing that this won't happen again.
This case shows you that the American trial system really works, the jury system really works, doesn't it?
Well, I think that it's a great example of the civil justice system, and that the trial, we have to have that courtroom available for people, and having jurors, you know, lay people using their common sense and their judgment, I think is a crucial part of the foundation of this country.
Right. Well, I want to thank you very much for spending time with us today. This is a case that everybody needs to know more about.
Well, the case really is one that resonated with people, I think, from day one, and it was because of Jennifer. Jennifer was a very regular person who people could connect with.
Thanks for joining us. You can get more information about our guest and the issues at insiderexclusive.com.